back on my life, I can generally categorise it into about 4 different sort of chapters, the way I think of it. Where I've probably been 4 different people in many respects, and that's a good thing because we all change, and change is the result of growth, which is what we should all be pursuing, in my opinion. I think you could probably see the same thing in yourselves. If you look back 10 years ago, are you the same person who you are today? I very much doubt it, and if you are, perhaps that's probably not a good thing. So a lot of these chapters are sort of bookmarked by sort of existential events that have happened, and they're often the periods between the chapters in my life are probably the periods where I've been most probably the biggest challenges in my life, and the periods where I've had the worst. I don't want to say I was depressed, because I know that's a clinical condition, and I was never diagnosed with that or anything like that, but it's definitely the periods where I've struggled the most with everything, and probably been the closest to self-destruction in that way. I'm not saying I wasn't gonna commit suicide or anything like that, but it's the periods where I've gone through neglect of myself, and I've not looked after myself as well as I'd like to have, and things like that. So it's interesting. I've noticed those cycles in my life, and I know when they're coming up, and I know when a lot of change is going to be happening, and I know how to sort of try and brace for it and deal with it, which made things a lot easier. And perhaps that's something that you might want to look at in your own lives, if that applies to you as well. My point is, the end of the last chapter was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say. But I remember in May 2017, there was quite a trying to think of the word. It was quite an important night for me, basically. It was a point where I was feeling at my lowest, probably. It was a point where I was just completely beaten down, and I was just thinking, I've got to do something about this. And there always comes at the rock bottom, where you start fighting your way back up the hill. And one night sort of captured it for me was in May 2017. I can't remember the exact date. I'd like to have, but I can't. I used to go to Subway a lot. There's a Subway in Exeter that I used to go to, and it's another thing. I was comfort eating an awful lot. I was going there like constantly. I was addicted to it. I was just constantly going to Subway and buying takeaway food, and just like, it was just kind of helping me cope with things in a weird way. Like, not that I don't tend to comfort eat, but it was a way of just sort of coping with how I was feeling at the time. And so anyway, I got to know the people there quite well, because they saw me constantly in there, and I decided to just randomly go out to sort of networking events and just put myself out there, like, just because I just felt so lonely and stuff. I just felt, I'll just go and stand there, even if I just turn up and I stand there like an idiot, and which I tend to do, and no one speaks to me, nothing happens. At least I went, and I can say to myself that I went, and that would be something. It's better than the emptiness that I'm feeling at the moment. So anyway, so I went to, as it happens, what was a launch event for Grow Exeter. They're a magazine, and they've launched a coffee house, I believe, and they've done all sorts of other things in Exeter, but they're a local company started by a bunch of local people, and they're doing a lot of things to promote local businesses. They're promoting local events. They're linked to sort of local charities, local sort of social initiatives. There's all sorts of things like that. So just by chance, they happen to be the networking event I stumbled upon on Eventbrite or something. And yeah, so it's all going around in tangents a little bit here, but I was getting a train to London recently, and I went into the waiting office, and there was a pile of Grow Exeter magazines that were there for free. So I picked one up, had a read through it, and I was just really pleased with how much progress they seem to have made in that time. So I wanted to just do a post just to sort of say about them, really, and sort of seem to how much they've seemed to have achieved in those 2 years, and alongside what I've seemed to have achieved in those 2 years as well. It's quite nice to see that sort of parallel of having an attitude of, I'm going to start something, I'm going to get better. Like, for me, it was starting from the ground up in a lot of areas of my life, and trying to push myself to get better. And you know, it was nice to sort of see the launch of a startup company, and now they sort of seem to be in a really good place and doing big things. So I just wanted to give them a bit of a shout out, if you like, on my channel, and promote them a little bit. Yeah, so just read the post on it, check out their website. And that was the other thing I was going to say. One thing I noticed is that apparently 30 people per day move from London to Exeter, I read. So there must be an awful lot of interest in people that are living in the big cities, that are living and working there. Perhaps they want to look at starting a family, perhaps they want to move to somewhere that's quieter, that's got better work-life balance, that has more... I say with Exeter, what I found is it's got sort of a small town sort of vibe, but it's a city in every sense, and it's very up and coming, I would say. It's got a lot of innovative kind of ideas. People are very excited. There's a lot of community, but not in a sort of village kind of way. It's a very sort of, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's very sort of ambitious, and with a focus on building and growing, as the name of that magazine suggests. But everyone I meet is generally very enthusiastic about the place. There's generally a very positive vibe, very positive culture. Compared to where I grew up and my experiences, where I spent most of my childhood, and it was not that it was at all bad, but it really stood out to me that this place is like really optimistic, positive, and buzzing in a completely different way, even though it's not far away. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're thinking about making a move to Exeter, moving to the West Country, looking at what your options are, it's a great place to start. If you can get hold of a copy of the Grow magazine, it gives you a real insight of what's going on, and it's from the horse's mouth as well. It's not like a Devon newspaper or a national newspaper that maybe runs an article on something that happened in Exeter. It's very much the people of Exeter reporting what's going on in Exeter, which I think is quite unique. I've not seen anything quite like that, and certainly not done so well. So anyway, yeah, check it out if you can. I think that's everything. Thanks for listening. See you next week.